Welcome back. 9:22 here on a Thursday morning. You're watching BT Vancouver. The plan has been unveiled for reopening BC's economy. We're going to break this down right now with News 1130 legislative reporter Liza Yuzda. Welcome back to BT.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, let's first of all, broadly, before we get into the parks reopening in some areas for the long weekend, let's talk about John Horgan and some of the things he mentioned this week in terms of reopening British Columbia.
Well, he's talking about, they've set the date of the 19th of May, which is Tuesday, for reopening phase 2. That has come with some confusion and some frustration because although they're saying it's time to reopen, there are a lot of areas, specifically medical services, that are really looking for more details, more guidance that their colleges need before they can actually do the reopening. They need guidelines of what PPE they need. So there were some questions asked of John Horgan yesterday saying, where are these guidelines? He says they're working on it. They're coming as quickly as they can, and that most places have, he said, most of the information they need to make an educated guess to make the preparations they need.
Right.
But there are some concerns about that. But starting Tuesday, places can open. He's very clear that just because they've set this date of May 19 as when things may open up again, it doesn't mean they're going to. He says it's not like flicking a switch that all of a sudden everything's going to be open and we're back to what we were like before. We're not, he says, back to normal. We're not going to be there for a long, long time. This is just the beginning of the reopening of some businesses. Some will take weeks or months to get there.
Okay, and with the long weekend approaching, many people are going to want to get outside. We will see some provincial parks opening. Greg Harper's at Golden Ears today, and there was a line of cars to get in. Can you give us some details on the situation with parks?
Well, yes, there's been a lot of people who have been chomping at the bit to get back in their provincial parks. So, yes, they are open today for day trips. The province saying at some point in the future they will allow overnights, but that time is not now. They're asking people that if you have a provincial park in your region, in your closer nearby area, then by all means go. But do not travel across the province to go to a provincial park. Again, they're trying to keep people as close as possible to home because they say, you know, we're not out of the woods yet. We still are in phase 1, and there still is a risk of transmission in the community. And so they're asking people to stay close to home. Also, all of the safety things, like be careful with campfires, follow all those regulations and rules so that you're not adding to the responsibilities of the people working in the parks or the health medical services in those regions.
What I thought was interesting, too, is that Adrian Dix, our health minister, was saying if you're going somewhere, bring as much food with you as you can so you're not sort of spreading, you're being a responsible citizen, essentially, if you are going to go somewhere recreationally.
Yeah, so that you're not stopping at stores. Stop at the store in your neighborhood where you, or where you pick it up normally and do that. Don't stop, like, you know, here on the island, there's people who go to souk, and there's one family I know that does that, but they make sure that they stop here. They do all their groceries here. They don't stop for gas. They have enough gas. They go to their piece of property, and they come back without seeing any other human being. Okay. And I think that's what they're asking people to do right now.
Time to bring those picnics back. We don't often talk about sports in this segment, but BC could have a bit of a role to play in the reopening of the NHL.
Oh, I think a lot of people have pinned their hopes on this. We know that the Premier had some discussions with the head of the NHL, Gary Bettman, about having Vancouver be one of the hub cities, meaning that teams would come into Vancouver, they would do their 14-day isolation, and then they would play their teams here, so stay here for a few months at a time. Provincial Health Officer Bonnie Henry has said, you know, she's open to this idea, but of course they have to meet all the safety guidelines that are set out for everyone else so that there's not transmission, so that there's, you know, distance, and if not distance, then there is barriers. So I don't know. I mean, hockey players wear helmets, they wear masks. It seems like this could be possible. It doesn't seem like it's one of her highest priorities.
No, but the sports world has been one of the hardest hit areas of life when it comes to the pandemic.
And I know that there's a lot of people in my life. I have a brother and a husband. I remember my brother saying to me probably about a month ago, and in such a forlorn way that I don't understand, that I miss sports. Like, he just physically hurts for sports.
Totally.
I have reality TV.
All right, let's have a little bit of fun. Dr. Bonnie Henry has become a celebrity here in BC, and beloved children's entertainer Raffi, he's one of her biggest fans, apparently.
Well, if you were listening the other day, the provincial health officer was asked about what are you going to do if you get frisky? And so she talked about getting amorous in the time of COVID and saying, you know, pick your partner carefully. It's not time to date around. It's time to, like, plan it out, pick one, go with that, see how it works.
Yeah.
And yes, Rafi, who's a resident of Salt Spring Island and a troubadour for the children, tweeted out asking, is she single? And someone else tweeted back saying, are you interested? And he wrote, affirmative. So I was joking. I'm like, who had on their COVID-19 bingo card that Rafi was going to be macking on the provincial health officer?
Stranger
I haven't got a reaction from her yet.
than fiction. Amazing. Thank you so much, Liza.
It's pretty amazing.
For giving us all the information. We'll get it up online for all of our viewers and for your listeners.
Have a great day, Thor.
All right, you take care. That's Liza Yuzda in Victoria, News 1130's legislative reporter, and we'll be back with more news